Hidden behind the famous string of neon lights in Las Vegas lies a once forgotten and blighted area of downtown Las Vegas in and surrounding the 18 blocks designated as the Arts District. Once a month for the past 4 years, the area transforms from empty streets and commercial buildings to the epicenter of all things art. Champions for a vibrant downtown arts community in Las Vegas spring to action and create street fairs, art exhibits, performance works, and an explosion of artistic energy.
We've known there was a lot going on there for a long time because in 1996, the city wrote a grant to fund a survey of what really was taking place in the Arts District, and if this grassroots effort that we all believed was there was truly there, how would we support it and make it grow?
There was kind of underground stuff going on, like there was this group called the Lower Okie. They just were always doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They ended up morphing into Laser Vita. In the 20th century, I started a cafe called Enigma downtown. Enigma spurned so much creativity. There was just always stuff going on around there. There was just always people playing music, or people writing and reciting poetry, or people creating art.
And those of us who remember Enigma Cafe remember it with great fondness. It's really kind of the incubator where all these ideas really started.
I am the owner of the Arts Factory and Studio West Photography. And we had our first opening in early '96. And at that point, whereas folks like NICA and the CAC and other groups would have openings, they would be sporadic and random and be all around the city. It was the first time that several artists and several galleries had an opening at one point. And we drew 500 people. And it was amazing. That hadn't been seen in this city.
In the Arts Factory, and the businesses around would get together. It was sort of like a grassroots building-wide. The doors would be thrown open. Wes would bring in food from a local restaurant, where we maybe would have 100, maybe 200 people.
With this type of energy, we decided to hold our first festival.
I met Wes Isbut, the owner of the Arts Factory, and he had a dream of having an arts district in Las Vegas, and recruited me and my wife to help him. And in 1998, in the October, we held the first street festival. It was entirely on Boulder Avenue and a little bit up First, and it was called GAME, Gateway Arts and Music Experience.
We, city staff, members of the Arts Factory and members of the arts community worked on. The idea of the GAME Festival was like to make a place where the Arts District was, to talk about the gateway to the Arts District.
When I heard about Wes having the Arts Factory and that, I thought it'd be great for the Desert Sculptors to get in there and be able to do something with him. And we were trying to make an event that everybody would be interested in coming to and be an artist, or meet an artist, or enjoy the artwork, listen to music, trying to create some sort of culture in this town that we haven't had.
It was a tremendous obstacle the next year because the artists had not sold very much, and they declined to come back. So we changed the next few annual events into Battles of the Band. We had help from the city. We've always had some help from the city. We had the Showmobile. We had artists.
We struggled with that for several years. We worked very hard on that festival, and we didn't get much audience participation.
And then finally we decided not to do it, and it was about that same time that Cindy Funkhauser went forward to begin to develop what is now, of course, First Friday.
I got the idea for First Friday by going to Portland, Oregon to visit my son, where they have the First Thursday event. I felt that it would be successful here as it is there.
And then she decided she wanted to do this First Friday thing, and I said, "You're insane. It's not going to work. Don't even try. It's a heartache." But I could tell she was going to do it anyway, so I helped her.
I was approached by Cindy Funkhauser to do an event that she called First Friday. In the beginning, I was a little hesitant because I knew how much work it was to put on one of these shows, and to do it every month was just this overwhelming task. And it was myself and my paid crew that was doing it, so it was the burden on me. And we agreed.
When First Friday started, I had pretty much the same skepticism. having worked in the arts in Southern Nevada for as long as I have, I know what a long slog it's been, and how many attempts have been made to really strike a spark. I've really never had the kind of sense of forward movement that I feel now.
We made plans to start First Friday in October of 2002. We took about 6 months for preparation and press and such. We had no idea what kind of a turnout we would have. Pretty much everybody was skeptical. All my friends said, don't get your hopes up, don't have high expectations, and I didn't really have any expectations, except that I just thought people would come out. And at our first event, we had 300 people, which we thought was absolutely fabulous. And each event consecutively just grew exponentially. So by about December, we decided we needed to form a nonprofit because this event was going to grow and would need a nonprofit to manage it. The name of the nonprofit is Whirligig Inc., and the board members are Naomi Aaron, Julie Brewer, and myself.
One of the earliest participants and a key destination was the artist-run cooperative gallery, CAC, the Contemporary Arts Collective.
The very first Friday, I was at the CAC when I was president of the CAC, and it was a busy Friday night. We had to adjust our all subsequent art openings to that first Friday date, which was challenging because it meant that we were changing exhibits monthly. Before First Friday, we would normally have between 15 and maybe 50 people come to an opening, depending upon whose show it was. After First Friday, numbers started to rise dramatically, and it's really because of the First Friday events that membership increased from about 300 to 600. The First Fridays were extremely important to the CAC because it really helped the CAC become fiscally sound. We basically made our rent. I don't think people would actually be acknowledging that there is a arts district if it weren't for First Friday. Wes, who owns the Arts Factory, bought the Arts Factory originally thinking that there would someday be an arts district. That was his dream, and 10 years later, it actually had been fulfilled. But if it weren't for First Friday, I don't know if people would be going downtown on a regular basis. And if you didn't have 5,000 people down there on a Friday, I don't think the newspapers would be paying any attention like they do now.
First Friday was great. There was everybody knew everybody. It was small. It was intimate. Cindy had a great party. Cindy has a great vision, and it was just that First Friday was awesome, and I'll never forget it.
First Friday was just getting going when I had my show. The way that Cindy was displaying work in the Funk House, it was in her back room at her antique store. The Funk House was definitely the vortex in my mind of what was going on there. I mean, it's the place that had the energy and the creative freedom that sort of propelled First Friday forward. Create an opportunity for somebody and let the universe take it from there, I guess. It's definitely First Friday Las Vegas style. It doesn't look like First Friday or Third Thursday or which Wednesday in any other community.
I've been coming here since about the second First Friday, a little over 4 years ago. And I just stand here in the corner and make my funny noise and talk to people and explain to them the history of the didgeridoo and a little bit of the culture of the Aborigines in Australia.
It's so funny because in 2002, when it all first started, the commute from the Arts Factory to the Funk House, people were actually kind of hesitant on walking down Casino Center because the streets weren't lit.
I've been showing or participating on one level or another with First Friday since the very beginning. Initially, I was a volunteer for the first 2 hours with Contemporary Arts Collective. Starting with the second First Friday, I was showing in front of Gypsy Caravan, and after that in front of the Funk House on the sidewalk. Eventually, the city started providing tents, and I would apply for a tent from one or couple months out of the year. And otherwise, I'd be showing again on the Funk House, on the sidewalk. You have to volunteer in order to get a free tent, which Cindy Funkhauser has been a champion in providing opportunities for local artists. I would volunteer either in the art obstacle course, which was a fundraiser for Whirligig, or as a trolley guide. Now on the trolley, we're getting tourists, we're getting people from Turnberry, the parents with strollers with babies. Last time we had people in suits. I was actually interviewed by a reporter from Japan who had flown into Las Vegas specifically to report on this event called First Friday.
I'd say by March and April we were probably getting 1,000 people or more. I remember we had good crowds, and I was selling even at those early ones. There are people that come down here and buy paintings and spend $10,000 for a painting, and I don't think that used to happen. In my space, I'm interested in attracting people that can buy my artwork. And one of the things we've had here in the Arts District is different people have different ideas about what they want it to be. Down south, they're more interested in the street fair. Up here, most of us are more interested in the commerce of art and creating an environment where people can buy our artwork. And for a while I thought there was sort of a conflict there, but I'm coming to terms with it and believe that they can have what they want and we can have what we want, and we can all get along and everybody gets what they want out of it. And I know sometimes some of my customers have come down, there have been a lot of kids here and wild things going on, and they get kind of turned off by it. That element, isn't so much here in our building anymore. And so we're all getting along better and things are moving forward.
At the beginning there was a tendency to just wander around and kind of make a night of the festivities and listen to the music and look for the free wine and the crackers and all that sort of stuff. But I noticed in the last several months that people are starting to look more and more at the art, and that's encouraging. I have probably had most of my success in selling art during First Fridays and as a result of First Fridays. I think on First Fridays they happen to be attending conventions or whatever and have heard from the concierge, or I don't know how, that there was this thing called First Fridays. They came and 3 large purchases from California and 2 from Arizona, and a big collector from New York.
The impact that First Friday has had on my career as an artist and my gallery is like night and day. Before I wasn't selling in Las Vegas, and guess why? Because no one knew I was there. So First Friday has made my business prosper. I'm in no other way, because I've also chosen artists because of First Friday that I can sell their work. So really First Friday is the reason my business is going well.
I was elected for the first time back in 1999 and then re-elected in 2003, and I did have a vision as to what I wanted to see accomplished, because the downtown when I took over was in a state of malaise. There wasn't any energy, there was no feeling of life, it was lethargic, and I set out to make sure that we had a renaissance, a rebirth in our downtown. And of course you cannot have a renaissance unless you have the arts as a material and integral part of it, interwoven with the daily life that takes place in an urban environment. So we set off to establish an arts district.
In spring, summer of 2000, when I really started to actively work with the property owners and to get them officially listed with the city as a listed neighborhood association. I think the Arts District is well established. The neighborhood association is self-sufficient. It's a private nonprofit. They raise their own funds. They have regular monthly board meetings. They have at least one annual large community meeting. The city has adopted the official 18B, the Las Vegas Neighborhood Association, as the official name of that district.
One day, appearing in my office was Cindy Funkhauser, and I didn't know Cindy from Adam. And of course, Cindy is the owner of the Funk House, which is an antique store, and that really was the beginning of the idea brought to my attention of First Friday. What that gives us is a place with which to identify, to have a sense of community, to have a sense of self, where you feel as though you're part of something which is bigger than individuals. And the city is delighted that it's taking place in the heart and soul of this entire valley. What it does, it gives us credibility. It shows that the downtown does have viability now, and therefore investors, when they look at the downtown, is this a place that they want to put their money? Is this a place they want to build a condo? Is this a place they want to open up a store? They're apt to say yes, and may not have said yes before First Friday.
At First Friday's second anniversary, its founder, Cindy Funkhauser, recounts some of the activities during the first 2 years.
We've gotten a lot of great press from the weekly papers and a lot of support. The Arts District is going through the same kind of renaissance as most major cities, where, you know, it becomes kind of Skid Row-ish and then turns around and people start buying the properties, artists start moving in. Now people are just buying property like crazy and starting to build high-rise condos and things like that.
We've done a couple different venues with First Friday. We've had the opportunity to set up an exhibit there so people can see what Soho Lofts is all about. We believe in the street marketing. We like to get to the people that are out there talking and doing, and those are the people that are coming to First Friday. There's people that were living in Summerlin and just didn't like making the commute to the center of the city and said, to heck with it, I don't want a yard, I want high-rise living.
The city got involved probably only like maybe 6 months into First Friday. They started providing a bus, and now we're up to 3 buses and a trolley on First Friday. And we estimate about at least half the people do ride the buses. Get ahead of things, get sponsors and things like that. We have a corporate sponsor for October, which is Barrick Gaming, donated $5,000, and we have used that money for advertising and promotion. And we're already seeing the fruits of that. The phone's been ringing off the hook all day. The artists are so happy. I mean, that's the main thing for me for First Friday, is that the artists are so incredibly happy to have a place to show their work. Always been some arts and culture here. I mean, people always complain and say, oh, there's never been any, there's nothing, but it has it's cohesive now, which is what it needed. And First Friday kind of brought everything together and brought everybody together in a way, cooperating in a way that we probably have not seen them do in the past. And in fact, the Nevada Ballet is going to do a performance next month. Last month it rained and artists started packing up their goods, and it's like, it doesn't make any difference. We do this no matter what. We do it every single month, and I am extremely persistent. If you asked anyone that knows me, they would probably say in all that I do. I did have, we are currently planning our major fundraiser, annual fundraiser, which is a bachelorette auction. And one of the girls told me that I was like a mobster getting people to do stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't really care. That's what I am. Then that's what it takes to get it done.
First Friday is giving them away.
It wasn't until I started my own business almost 3 years ago that I had the idea to do a newsletter, because I found that there were still so many people in the Las Vegas Valley that had no idea First Friday was happening. And I thought the word wasn't getting out enough. Everybody who had been going to it for the previous years knew. So 2 years ago, I approached Cindy Funkhauser and Naomi Aaron at Whirligig about producing a newsletter for them out of my company, Vegas Inc. And hoping to distribute that newsletter to people that were first-timers, that had never gone to First Friday and had actually never even heard of it, because there's still quite a few people out there that don't know what it is. So this is the newsletter we created back in, we're on the 5th issue now, so we decided to put it together and get it in the hands of people that were interested in the cultural arts but maybe weren't familiar with what was happening in the art scene downtown. I am actually not going to continue with the First Friday newsletter. It's still going to survive and thrive, but my company has decided to start a downtown magazine. So we wanted to do something a little bit bigger, something that could really tell some stories about what was happening in the area and what the urban lifestyle is really all about. And that publication is Verb.
I remember one night, I guess I was in a buying mood, I purchased 2 paintings. One was for Mr. Griesgraber, and it was inside, And I agreed with him that we ought to leave the painting up for a month as a part of the exhibit. And then I went outside, and there was this Rastafarian fella, and he had a lot of nice paintings up. I really liked one of them. Let's go out to my van. We'll wrap your painting up. We have a lot of diverse artists here. You'll find the artists on the street. Some of them have eventually moved into the building when space became available.
First Friday has experienced explosive growth. It has been both a cultural phenomenon as well as an economic force.
When I took over management of this property in 2000, this particular area of Las Vegas, the Main Street, Casino Center, down to Industrial, and then to Charleston, was considered, well, I'll be polite, it was considered scurfy. We had to deal with crack dealers, with prostitutes, with the homeless sleeping and defecating on our property. When First Friday came along, it was fabulous. We now had people helping us from the city to renovate the area. And when I had 2 of my properties come vacant, I was approached by one of the art galleries, and I jumped on the chance, frankly. It was wonderful having somebody upscale who wanted to move in, who could pay the rent.
It really made a lot of sense to open up here in the Arts District, mainly because just the economics of it. At that time, commercial space was very, very expensive here. And what we needed were large spaces at really reasonable prices. And so the Arts District was a perfect place to come, especially because it had already been labeled the Arts District by the city, and we wanted to help with that growth.
A number of other properties have been able to renovate a small amount and also increase the value of their properties and improve their tenants' chances of actually bringing decent clientele down here.
The Arts District's potential became evident when Gott Cleary Projects expanded to Main Street from its strip location.
I opened the first gallery location at Mandalay Place called Gott Cleary Gallery, and we then re-established ourselves downtown in the Arts District in January of 2005. The reason for moving downtown was that we really wanted to be a part of the grassroots organization that's been happening down here with First Friday and the redevelopment of the downtown arts district. So we really felt it was important to be part of the local arts community. It's been really exciting because First Friday is a terrific event that we've been able to be a part of. We've also helped, myself as well as several other people in the neighborhood have helped to establish collectors groups.
We've been in business for almost 30 years, headquartered in Los Angeles, but about 3 years ago we opened our first showroom here in Las Vegas, here in Main Street, because of the wonderful, First Friday events that are coming up and are still expanding.
The only things I want to say, just we plowed in Las Vegas and opened on the First Friday. And the company was support us to do the First Friday.
Before that First Friday, nobody in the street, very slow, no people coming in the night in this restaurant, and all business around.
And now, on the First Fridays, the people walking around here and coming late to the restaurant, we are very good business about this organization, and we are very happy.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Nord, and about a year and a half ago, my husband David Van Zanten and I bought the Nevada Radiator Service building. And we bought it because we saw the revitalization going on in the Arts District, and we wanted to be a part of that. But renovated about 1/3 of it to become this 2-story gallery. That's a gallery on First Fridays every month that shows the work of new local artists. And we are also on the dreaded west side of Main Street that for some reason doesn't get as much foot traffic as the east side, because we had access to a lot of radiators, and we were in the arts district. We decided to have a radiator art contest. We had the first one in June of 2005. And it was nice because it involved the whole community. It involved the community as participants, but then it also involved the community as voters. We've seen a huge growth in First Friday participants and the group of artists that we've been able to meet each month. It's been amazing to see that these people are hard, and they're all young. They're students or they're hardworking professionals.
Hi, I'm Dorette Candido. I have Dorette Studio and Dorette Candido Design down in the Arts District on Main Street. And everyone's following me down. They all told me when I moved here that I was crazy, but I think that I see a vision for downtown, and the Arts District is really going to be great. From the first month that we were open, we participated in First Friday. We utilize First Friday. I don't really sell anything typically on First Friday. People walk through and go, oh wow, I had no idea you were here, and then come back during the week or tell a friend.
We've been very successful with First Friday by providing wonderful bands and a DJ and an excellent atmosphere for people to come. And as the trolley comes every 30 minutes, it goes down to the art district and the antique shops. We start actually getting packed around 5 o'clock. I would say we're impacted with around 1,100 to 1,200 people through that 4 hours that come and go.
I've been a real estate agent in Las Vegas for about 17 years now, and one of the early people moving back downtown again. The whole downtown, including some of the really great housing areas like the Hunt Ridge area that's just southeast of the Arts District, 10 years ago was real run down, real covered in graffiti, real people were moving out, but nobody was moving back in. Well, the very people who started the whole Arts District projects are some of the first people that came back downtown in the middle wave when the artists and the musicians were able to start coming back downtown. One of the things that it's actually done is to create a sense of that downtown exists, and in bringing them back down here to something that was fun and exciting and interesting, it allowed them to have an opportunity to say, well, let's come back during lunch and have lunch at one of these restaurants. Let's come back and actually buy something in one of these galleries. So we did get a lot of suburbanites coming back into the center core.
Because of economic growth of the area and increased real estate values, artists were displaced. Artists continue to struggle and adapt.
Well, what happened was there was these cottages right on Colorado in the Casino Center, and there was a mass email that went out to all the local artists and everyone, and I don't think anyone responded but me. Because at the time, the neighborhood didn't have the best of reputation, especially that corner. I mean, on First Fridays, and wouldn't nobody go across the street really, because it was like drug activity and all kinds of stuff you wouldn't normally, you wouldn't want to like get involved with. So I kind of knew, like, if one person took the initiative and was brave enough to move in there, that other people would move in there, and that's fortunately that's what happened. I moved there, then Mark Zillman moved there, and a photographer, Christine Wetzel, she moved there, and then other artists came, and then next thing you know, we have like a little community of artists there, and that was like the coolest thing for especially for Vegas, because there was nothing like that in Las Vegas, as far as a community of artists, and living in the Arts District and participating in the festivities and First Friday and everything. So owners at the time, they had the same vision that we did as far as wanting to have artists there, and they let us paint murals on the buildings, so that was really cool too. And with the murals being there, it brought more attention to over there, and it just made that whole corner just like a real cool like artist hangout. It was, and this basically went on for about a year and a half. The property changed hands. The property value went up thanks to the artists, because next thing you know, these cottages are in national and international newspapers. Unfortunately, they decided to rezone it, and they proposed to put a 43-story high-rise there. So that was pretty much
the demise of that situation. But hopefully, it didn't happen without a fight. There was a lot of people that didn't want to see that happen. So I think what it did do, even though all the artists had to leave, it did bring a social conscious or awareness of how redevelopment as far as high rises will affect the arts district.
And I forget how many there are. There's like 50 or more inquiries here from artists who are looking for space. And I'm pretty sure most of these people are still looking for space.
The event's explosive growth created challenges, flare-ups, and growing pains. New and existing local community groups have worked to resolve issues.
And there's been a bit of a conflict between the producers of the event, or the so-called producers of the event, and what history to me has, well, not to me, what history has shown how these events grow and how this type of thing happens. And there are problems.
In 2003, the mayor created what is known as the Arts District Task Force, a representative from all the various departments in the city, from leisure to planning and development, building and safety, fire, finance for business licensing, neighborhood services for code enforcement. It would meet once a month, and it would give the property owners within the Arts District an opportunity at a designated time to bring forth their project, lay it out for all the departments to see at one time. There was no issue that was brought before the Arts District Task Force until about 2 years ago relating to the First Friday events. And the issue that came forward at the time had to do with parking. Representatives of Whirligig, that was producing First Friday, came before the task force and asked how this issue could be addressed to make it more user-friendly. And since then, issues have come up such as security, the cleanup afterwards, publicity.
Observed some city vehicles that were blocking some driveways.
The report that we have is that we will be getting a Whirligig by tomorrow.
We're doing 4 trolleys for October and November. They'll have a list of activities that are going on at each site. At the information tables, they'll also have this list of information.
Asked a couple of basic questions on the event that have been things that I felt have been consistent from day one and they needed to be addressed since day one. Specifically, things like the random vendors, people who are the squatters who are the whole thing, specifically about the trash pickup after an event. The quantity of trash is unbelievable. There are security issues that need to be identified beyond Metro and the sheriffs. They have been there and they've been a little heavy-handed, they've been extremely heavy-handed.
I have 2 dumpsters on site, one on Casino Center in Colorado, one on Boulder and First Street. I have park staff who empty trash cans. I provide trash cans for both sites.
South of Charleston, and I'm usually over at the Commerce area, I'm not seeing an excessive amount of trash. So, because I used to actually just pay somebody, you know, a homeless guy, literally, to go out and clean it up every Saturday, but there's no trash out there to clean up, literally.
Large crowds of young people after 10 o'clock who were not dispersing. The horse patrol walked through, blew a whistle, asked people to move to the sidewalk, which they did, which they dispersed.
Were galloping?
No, they were not galloping. None of the horses were galloping.
Starting this First Friday, there will be 2 fire department inspectors on site from now on. For those of you that are using interior spaces, know your occupant loads. If you're overcrowded, you will be forced to do a head count.
This is the First Friday Advisory Committee. We are the committee that plans and coordinates First Friday.
I think there was, again, a few problems with the trolleys.
Priscilla makes sure we have the overflow parking thing out in the street on Charleston. The arrows are still going the wrong way.
Are they really?
Or Stu would really like to see what we can do for some security and lighting under that railroad track, you know, that bridge.
Wes sent this request to our committee, that alcohol on Boulder Plaza and surrounding area be kept to beer and wine. It was mandated, really, that the city conduct an evaluation of First Friday. And this report will need to be addressed. It recommends that the event be professionalized, we quantify the economic and social impact of the festival, and that we enhance the quality of the festival. And then the recommendation is to secure private funding.
In 2005, that was the city's centennial year, and as part of the First Friday participation in that year, the advisory board decided to do 100 artists and 100 tents, and in that we did 2 days of festival.
The success of First Friday has spawned arts clusters beyond the original two. Jeff Lepore purchased the old Wholesome Bread Factory in 2004. He remodeled it and transformed it into the Wholesome Lofts. Immediately, it became a symbol of architectural sophistication and drew an eclectic group of businesses. Art galleries, boutiques, a cafe, interior designers, wholesalers of the home industry, and eventually CAC.
Well, the Wholesome building has a fantastic location. It sits at the basic gateway to downtown. It's at Charleston and I-15. There's 80,000 cars a day that pass the property. It was actually First Friday that encouraged me to buy the building. We went down, and I really saw that there was a big desire by local people to want to have the type of movement that has grown considerably and is wildly successful in comparison to where it started. But there's really a group of people that want to be involved in that, and I could see that there was big potential there. And that was probably the thing that pushed me over the edge in buying the property. The cross-section of people that are there enjoying the arts, the design aspects of the building, or specifically the grill, which is the restaurant there. That really makes me feel like this project was worth it.
Lo and behold, I was just watching TV, and Jeff Lepore, the owner of the Wholesome Bread Factory, was on talking about the fact that he had just purchased it and was going to remodel it into a cafe and art galleries. And I thought that, hey, that might be a perfect mix for where we want to be. Every First Friday that we even though all we had was an empty room, sometimes we would just take out a table and we'd hand out samples of black beans so we could tell everybody what we're going to do. And then, you know, the next month there might be a wall up, and the month after that maybe the HVC. And after lots and lots and lots of First Fridays, we were fully open, and very often this is standing room only with the rush of all these chefs in Vegas. There's no doubt that these guys create art every day when they do a show.
Well, you know, without the First Friday, you don't have that energy, that synergy. It's an important thing because it brings people from all over the city in here. The Wholesome Lofts, I think, is an idea before its time. It's what you call what I would call cutting edge. You take a chance. You come in and you say, all right, this is an upscale. It's not quite like the rest of the arts district down here. It's going to be very, very difficult for it to move forward in a year or 2 years. It's going to take 5 years or maybe even longer.
A space which is called Wholesome Lofts, which is technically not in the arts district, but who, you never can say never. We're just on the other side of the bridge. We're actually the gateway to the arts district.
Communities, and that's what's exciting about the move for us, is that we are now larger. We have this members gallery. We'll be able to give members not just one opportunity a year, but multiple opportunities a year to show their artwork, where it'll help bring the members back and make them proud to be part of the CAC. CAC is the granddaddy in the arts community.
I came to Las Vegas in June of 2005 with my partner Jerry Hall. We came from Laguna Beach, California, relocating our business because the Arts District is growing and burgeoning, and we felt that it was a good time to become a part of it and be part of being on the beginning of something. You know, on a slow first Friday would be 3,000 people attending. You know, we're expecting that there would be 15 to 20,000 again for the October First Friday, because it is the anniversary of First Friday, the 4-year anniversary.
I'm here because I'm excited about what was happening down here, and it was important to me to sort of get off the sidelines as a cheerleader and get into the game as a business owner and as somebody who's willing to put my money where my mouth is and my heart is. So that brings us to Paper Doll, which has been a store that I've been dreaming about for many years. I created the company that became Paper Doll in 2002, actually November of 2002, and I sold stationery and invitations and all that from home as a home-based business. And then I was blown away really when I saw this completed project in 2005, and the store opened in the fall of last year, and it's exciting and it's fun, and now Wholesome has become a big part of what First Friday is too, and that's exciting because that's the whole idea, is to grow this art community and get a lot of creative people sort of in the same area. We don't really have that in Las Vegas.
Another cluster formed more slowly on Commerce Street.
I've been in Vegas for over 10 years, and I've been involved in the arts community since I've gotten here. And basically, my style is large scale acrylic on canvas. I myself am large scale. I'm 6'8", and Vegas is very large scale and very bright and very obvious, and that's my artwork.
Related to one of the artists, so I try and come out every time, but I don't contribute any art myself.
Basically, the birth of First Friday I was involved in with Laser Vita, and it's amazing how much it's grown. I've moved away a couple times. I'm back in Vegas and looking around, and it's kind of crazy. It's insane how big it is now, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go from here.
I am at Commerce Street Studios. I'm in the Annex building next door.
Yeah, well, okay.
And I've been here about a month and a half, and it's been great. It's just great having all different types of people coming in and reacting to your artwork, and it just feels like it brings the community together.
For the first time, Commerce Street was barricaded on the 4th anniversary of First Friday with artists, tents, and a bandstand. Unfortunately, the night was windy and cold, with only hundreds wanting to visit Commerce Street that night. In 2005, Wholesome Lofts was rooted as the gateway to the Arts District. In 2006, we saw the openings of multiple neighborhood galleries and a tie-in to the World Market Center.
I inherited a program that began as a program called the First Friday Events to spark some excitement in the downtown community and be symbiotic with the First Friday events already existing from the arts committees. In February, we have a very interesting guest coming out to join us, also in conjunction with our huge market-to-market event, and they are coming from London, England. They are the co-sponsors and directors of a show called Decorex, which is probably the most famous boutique interior design show in the world. And we're going to tie that in with the First Fridays also here, and at the same time the AIA and Moretti House that we've restored with Vladimir Kagan, we're all going to be involved in this whole complex on that First Friday, so the entire community will be rising together. So all these factors are what I think is going to add to our presence in the arts community and our importance to the First Friday Arts program. My focus on the First Fridays is to bring these communities together to know each other, to relate to each other, to share ideas, to share sources.
I only have this space for 2 First Fridays, but I really felt that it was worth the effort to get a taste of the scene from the inside and to also show these artists, because I think the artists that I have here are not typical at all of what's being seen around Las Vegas. I found in general, and it's not peculiar just to First Friday, whenever you have a gathering where there's free food and beverages and it's sort of a social event, more often than not, most people are not interested as buyers. They come more as a social occasion, an evening out with their friends, and maybe after dinner they stop by and look around. However, if you see 500 people in your gallery that night, if you get one person who's a true art lover, you know, who becomes a client, and they in turn usually have friends that are interested in art, you know, then that's a wonderful thing. Just looking at the costumes, you know, and the conglomeration of people and how they were dressed was fascinating. I can tell you something that probably wouldn't have happened in New York. I had a gentleman come in who was very interested in Yara Godfrey's work, who does these fabulous tigers, and he's a tiger trainer. All avenues of art should be shown in an art district. I think anything that perpetuates any type of art, whether it's writing or dance or theater, they all go hand in hand. Younger people, they're used to these days so much stimulation that probably it will hold more interest for the younger generation if there's sort of a mixed media kind of thing, rather than quietly walking from gallery to gallery.
I see in from the onset of December of 2005 to now that the participation has increased, and there are more people who have become curious as to what First Friday is about, and they are coming back for another visit and bringing friends. And on a First Friday, I demonstrate stone carving. I think that some of the people who come to participate in First Friday are here just for the social aspect and to participate in the food and the music, and aren't really interested in art per se. Like anything else, when you are redeveloping an urban area, it's going to take time, but I see it happening within the next 3 years.
We're located here in the heart of the new Arts District, which is Charleston in Maine. We moved here about 5 years ago, and the area at that time was considered to be somewhat dangerous, perhaps unsavory. And at some of the neighborhood association meetings we went to, there were big discussions about whether it was actually safe to be out here for First Friday and for other gallery events. I think that First Friday is fun. I think it's a great party. I encourage everybody to come here and partake, eat, drink, and be merry, and wander around, see as much as they can. But I'm a little concerned that sometimes that takes away from the focus of what the galleries are trying to do and what the artists are trying to convey. My job and my role in my company is to make sure that the art is presented so that it works, and that means that clients go home with art under their arm.
For those of us that are in the art business of selling fine art, we sometimes get a crowd that is not interested in, especially a young and sometimes a little too rowdy crowd, that's not interested in buying art, but coming in to party. And that sort of drives out some of the other people that are more interested in a more sedate experience. So there's been a little controversy about that.
The City of Las Vegas's report to evaluate the success of First Friday resulted in the hiring of Whirligigs Executive Director Nancy Higgins. She brought years of professional experience directly from Balboa Park in San Diego, California, where she was Director of Marketing.
I think one of the things I bring is objectivity, because I'm brand new. Another thing, because there, as in any event, as in anything in life, there's been conflict, and there's been people that disagreed with some of the things that First Friday did, disagreed with the way Whirligig performed periodically, but most of the folks in the neighborhood are concentrating on making it work. It's a very successful event. It grew way larger than anyone had ever anticipated it. And it's helping. It's helping the artists, it's helping the galleries, it's helping the businesses, it's helping get Las Vegans into downtown Las Vegas again. And that's a huge accomplishment. So I think we're all, though differing, and artists tend to differ, people with minds tend to differ, we're still on the same page. We want to move the event forward, and we want to even have some new events in the area too. So, but we're concentrating on First Friday because it's something that has grown organically. It wasn't put on by a producer type of producer. It was 3 women who were very determined to bring arts out in the open and to give artists an opportunity to show their works that didn't have that opportunity in Las Vegas before. It's gotten more businesslike in the past year or so because it's a big event, and obviously we have to deal with licensing and making sure that everyone's safe at the event.
In 2007, the experience of First Friday depends upon whom you ask. The future of the event and the Arts District, 18B, has multiple evolutionary trajectories.
Before, and what we really want to happen is for there to be other days besides one Friday of the month when lots of people come into the neighborhood and there are lots of things to do. And I think what we're going to see is that First Friday will spawn and grow other kinds of cultural arts events at other times during the month.
Many of my customers get frustrated because sometimes they don't like to look at art with the big crowds, and they're unable to make a purchase on First Friday because it's so crowded and busy. So we've begun doing a private preview night the night before First Friday. We sold probably 75% of the exhibition on the private preview night. I think probably 80% of the galleries in the Arts Factory are open on the night before First Friday.
Third Saturday is going to be an all-day affair put on by a professional company now.
The piece of property you're standing on right now, our company owns the entire block here. It's a 2.5 acre parcel that we're doing a whole mixed-use project on. So we'll be doing everything from artist lofts to a boutique hotel. We have a production company, and we thought for another event, Las Vegas is ready for it.
I think First Friday as a concept and as an opportunity for artists will revitalize downtown. All the players need to be on the same page, they all need to get along, but the important thing is that First Friday is about community, and it's also about the art, but more importantly it's about building bridges with the community. It's building bridges with the African American community, with the Hispanic community, other minority communities, and importantly the gay community, because the discussions of an arts district began many, many years ago in the 1980s with certain members of the gay community coming out and saying we need to do something like this because you cannot have a vibrant arts community without the gay community.
I hope that the Arts District expands and that more shops and more galleries move down here.
I would say the future of the Arts District, just the way things have gone so far, all it can do is get better and more enhanced, and the theater is going to grow, and I don't think you'll be able to recognize it in 5 years. I think it'll be so different that
I would definitely like to see bookstores, coffee shops, theaters.
Things will be cleaned up, there'll be nicer things put up, and more people involved as the word gets out. And it's one company at a time is how we can do it and how we're going to do it. There's no way of getting out there and just doing it overnight. And so it's going to be building blocks where you stack one upon the other, one business at a time.
What we want to build here is an art district that is worthy of Las Vegas, that transcends any other art district, and that is evocative of what this city and what we are all about. There's literally billions of dollars of investment that has been announced. There's museums coming, but a sculpture garden that's like no other, in which it'll be right in the epicenter of the Arts District.
I mean, there are many, many things that attract people down there, and Art Walk is really a very pure thing, where you really just come
to enjoy the galleries and the restaurants that are near the galleries, and that's an experience. Down the road, as we develop further and have more galleries, that makes it more viable to have an art walk.
The diversity issue is an important point, and I think every time we meet and talk about First Friday, it always comes up. It started out as an art walk, and some people feel that it's turned into a street fair, and that's true. I tend to think that it's a combination of both, because when I'm not volunteering, I go and tour all the galleries and I look at all the art, and that's what I do first. So I may do that a little bit earlier, and then I will go listen to the band and maybe get some food and hang out with friends. And I like the dynamic of that, because I think what that does is expose people to art. Maybe they aren't into the art scene, maybe they're not interested in purchasing original artworks, but maybe they aren't interested in that because they don't know and they haven't been exposed to it before. So if you get somebody down there that came to see the band and then you also get them in a gallery, to me that's a win-win situation. So I believe in that diversity. You have people that don't. You have people that want it to be strictly an art walk, that want it to be strictly more affluent, older individuals that can afford to buy the works in the galleries. But, you know, I think that the younger generation are the art buyers of the future. So exposing them to that now is one of the most important things you can be doing. Now, does that help the art scene right now? No, but, you know, we plan to be around for a really long time. So in 10, 15 years, you know, these 20-year-olds who are coming down to the event, they're going to be the ones that are buying art for their homes.
Whirly Gig, the mission is solely to support the arts in downtown Las Vegas. So it is a bit of a semantic difference, but it's a big difference in the sense that, you know, we're not limited to the arts district. We don't want to be limited to the arts district, that we feel strongly all about downtown as well. And so, yeah, I mean, look for a couple events in the coming years. We'll be have some surprises.
These are future plans, but we would like to be involved in a live-work situation that is for artists, that is going to be basically to keep the prices down where artists can actually afford to live and work down here. That's going to be a major undertaking.
10, 20, 25 years from now, it'll be associated, when you say 18B Las Vegas Arts District, it'll be on the par with when you say Soho. You know, it'll be that popular.